Hey, everybody, welcome in. We are going to get started in just a moment. Go ahead and drop something in the chat. Who you are, where you're from, and let's get ready to get started. So cool. Hey, Daryl, good seeing you. Yep, from San Francisco. And Amy, yeah, hey, Karen, great, awesome. Yep. Yeah, hey, Courtney, nice to see you too. Mike, how we doing? Yep. Hey, Anthony. Great. Cool, cool. So it looks like we have representation from everywhere. We have Chicago, Dallas, yeah, just a number of states here. So great, great, great. We are going to get started here and let's get going. Um, I'm Jay Barabee, and Jessica Foster is going to be doing an interview later. We're going to be bringing her on. She's with Better Who as well. And we also have some guests. We have Courtney Parks, John Malajak, and we also have Sal Burgos with us. You'll be hearing a story about Scott Nachatilo, but he wasn't able to be here today. So let's get into it. So let's be honest for a second, okay? Right out of the gate, who in your company is making a majority of the decisions? Is it you as the business owner? Think about everything that's come across your plate this week, right? All of the decisions, the fires, the stuff that just ends up on you. Do you have anyone else that can make decisions? Do you have task doers or do you have outcome owners? Right? How skilled is your team? And if they were more skilled, then what would that mean to your business? If you had better leaders, what would that mean to your business? If you don't have a team yet, then that's exactly why you need to be here. So um, think about that for a second. Let that sink in. So let's talk about when decisions get hard. So you have a termination that's been sitting on your desk for weeks, right? Um, an owner wanting to leave. You have an owner that wants to micromanage every repair. Maybe you're rolling out a new property management agreement with a new fee structure. A lot of these things they fall on your desk, and many times they stall. They don't get through in the time that we want them to. Maybe you're implementing a new software or, a process. Whatever it is, it lands on you. You're the only one making the real decisions. When it gets hard, everybody still turns to you, and you don't have a trusted peer group who actually understands what's going on at this level. Maybe you feel frustrated, overwhelmed, possibly burnt out. I know a lot of people that have felt that way before, yours truly included. Your business might be growing or maybe just, moving forward, but the weight is still on you. And carrying it alone, like that can feel lonely and sometimes even isolating. Nobody really around you sees it because from the outside, it looks like where it's working, it looks like everything's fine, but nobody really gets it. Property management, being an owner, it can be super lonely. And that's the last thing that we want. I'm Jay Barabee. Jessica Foster is going to be joining us here in a little bit. She leads our executive coaching department and the WhoCrew at Better Who. We built the WhoCrew to solve exactly those problems that we just mentioned. We're going to have Q&A at the end, so drop your questions in the chat at any time. Today, you are going to hear from three real members, John Malajak, Courtney Parks, and Sal Burgos. They'll be live with us today, and then you will also hear a story about Scott Nachatilo. So John, he has been in the business for 15 years without a real peer group until he found one. He's going to be live today. Scott, he's doing everything right, has a background in engineering. He had a very process oriented guy, right? Um, but he was still stuck. And what changed in the first 12 months will surprise you. And Courtney Parks and Sal Burgos, Courtney brought Sal into the WhoCrew. Sal basically runs the company now and freed Courtney up to do a heck of a lot more things. So both of them are live today as well. These aren't package stories. These are real people that are going to tell you exactly what changed in their business. You know, we get it. You don't need another task, right? That's not what this is. You don't need another system, another to do. You don't need a bunch more notes to figure out what am I going to do with this next thing? You don't need another distraction. That's not what this is. The WhoCrew does the complete opposite. Owners come in with a full plate and they leave with fewer things pulling at them. So you have all of these things that are piling up, all these decisions. You have no time. We help you get your time back. We've been sitting across smart, hardworking owners who are still the answer to everything. And we've seen it hundreds or thousands of times. So that's why we built the WhoCrew, because we wanted to do something about that. And again, I know I said this before, but I really want to stress the fact that if you're feeling lonely and isolated, right, like on an island, because you're making hard decisions, you have a lot of responsibility, but nobody else to really bounce things off of, like that's super lonely. Um, Carrying these things alone, it's not a character flaw. Like it's what happens when that load is too heavy and when you're carrying it in a silo. We know that the best operators, they didn't get there by figuring out alone, right? Like none of us do. We get to the place where we get because we have the support of others. Rising tides lift all ships, you know? So that's what this is about. And that's what we're going to show you today. Um, we kept seeing the same thing. This was a common denominator, owners that still had to make all the decisions, and their team can own those decisions, but, they weren't able to do that. And we've seen a lot of great property managers and just other positions in the company in the same role for years. No development, no challenge, no training, because where's the time to do those things? Being a manager, being a leader, being a director of HR, think of all the hats that you wear. This helps you get out of that. A lot of business hit a growth ceiling because you run out of capacity. There's certain problems that you get at different times in the business. And when a hard decision needs to be made, no one there can actually make it, right? Like there's all these decisions that keep coming back to the owner. And they're not random problems. These are byproducts of not having proper leadership development structure and a peer community. And that's the gap that we kept seeing. So we built something to close it, and that is the WhoCrew. So what's the WhoCrew? The WhoCrew, it's not what most people would expect when they hear program. It's not just masterminds. It's not just coaching. It's not just these role-based tracks. It's all of the things, the right things that we've identified from hearing and working with hundreds or maybe even thousands of property management companies of the problem that needs to be solved. So you get 3 role-based tracks, one for the business owner, one for the ops or integrator, which if you don't have one or haven't identified one yet, that's a next step. And one for growth, anyone who's handling business development. And sometimes if you're in all of those seats, then we'll put you on 1 or 2 of those tracks. But essentially, we help match you and your team in the right track, going along the right path. Your challenge as the business owner, right? It's not the same challenge that your integrator has. So, inside we have these role-based masterminds that we just mentioned. We have one-on-one accountability pairings, group coaching, office hours so that, you don't get lost. And a circle is where we have our community platform with a bunch of resources, everything that you need in real time based on the four pillars of property management: team, systems, profit, and growth, right? You got your people, your process, your revenue and profit, and your growth. Those are the things that matter. And those are the things that we help you with, right? So, foundation and freedom mastermind, those are for the business owner. They're two separate things, right? Foundation, if you're working more than 20 to 25% in your business, then you're in the foundation mastermind. That's where we help build that core leader, identify your identity, mindset, give you the clarity that you need. And then there's the freedom mastermind that uh, is more about helping business owners scale, right? The ones that are working 25% or less in their business, and maybe even just as a choice, right? There's a different set of problems, and you're in a group, right? That's what a mastermind is. You're in a group with other people who are doing the same thing. So we know that instead of just doing these masterminds, like one big mastermind, that didn't make sense. So we did the role based masterminds, right? So that's really important. Um, the Who Crew, we build leaders around you. We've been running for over a year now. This isn't a concept, it's not a beta, it's actually working. We have, I think, over 100 members in the Who Crew right now. It's not another thing to add to your calendar. It's a structured investment where the leaders are already inside of your business. And if they're not, we can help you identify them so that you can do the right things at the right time. Because we don't want you being the only one to make the decisions. So I'm going to bring up Jessica Foster here in a minute. She leads up our coaching department, and she'll be interviewing John Malajak, and you'll hear from the two of them. So a little bit about John before I bring them up. John owns Suburban Real Estate Group in Tucson, Arizona. He's been in property management for over 15 years. He's built it from the ground up. When he started, didn't have a roadmap, a mentor, peer group who truly understood what he was going through at that level. So he joined the Who Crew. He was paired with an accountability partner, Nick Bartlett. He'll tell you about that. Unfortunately, Nick wasn't able to make it today. He's traveling. So let me introduce Jessica Foster and John Malajak.
Hey guys.
Okay, solve the debate. Say your last name for us.
Okay, it's Malajak. It's actually Hungarian.
Malajak. Malajak.
Malajak, that's what I
We were
said.
both. No, you didn't. Okay, John Malajak is the owner of Suburban Real Estate Group in the Tucson, Arizona area. He has been in property management for over 15 years, and he built his entire business from the ground up. No roadmap, no mentor, and no peers who truly understood what it takes to run this kind of business at his level. John joined the Who Crew and was paired in our accountability program with Nick Bartlett. I want to mention that Nick is traveling today and isn't able to join us, but John is going to tell you exactly what the partnership meant for him. And John, I'm so glad to have you here joining us. Let's get into it. Thanks so much for being here.
Glad to be here.
So tell us, you built this business yourself. It took about 15 years, or you've been doing it for about 15 years. You didn't have a coach, no peers. What did that actually feel like when you were in the thick of it?
Yeah, well, actually, my wife joined pretty early on in the business, so we did it. We actually worked this together for this entire time. But I got to say that I'm not even really sure how we made it through like the first 5 years. I always kind of say that it was by the grace of God because I really didn't know much of anything. We had to reinvent everything, documents, leases, property management agreement, and I've never worked for a management company before. So other than owning two of my own residential rentals, I had no experience and probably no business to get into it, but I did anyway.
And what did it feel like when you were in the thick of it? Were you feeling just like confused, lost, overwhelmed?
Oh yeah, it was really hard. I mean, it was very difficult. At the time, there were no, webinars and tools like what you guys are offering, right? I didn't even really know of NARPM at that time, so it was just very difficult. And yeah,
Heavy.
heavy.
So
And
when you found the Who Crew, what was the problem or the pain that you were going through that made you say, okay, I'm going to invest in this. I'm going to do it?
yeah, so by the time we found you guys, we were really far into it. So we kind of figured a lot of things out. But at the end of the day, I still felt, had some good people in place, staff, things like that. But I still felt that I needed to grow, and I needed to grow purposefully. And honestly, that was just another new thing that I haven't been able to figure out on my own. And so that's really why I jumped on board. And I wanted to be able to step away from this company and kind of hover, at maybe like 30,000 feet, and be able to run it from that, that level. And I felt that I really needed the guidance to do that.
Awesome. And so you were paired with Nick Bartlett. He's in a completely different market, totally different portfolio size, very different from what you have going on. And so what happened when you actually started meeting with him?
Yeah, like you said, he's in Minnesota. I'm in Arizona. He has a different door count, and I just kind of felt like, well, it's a little random, but let's give it a whirl. And at the end of the day, it worked out so well. We actually ended up we started to meet weekly, so we still do that, and I look forward to it. I think he looks forward to it. So it's been a really good matchup.
Awesome. And what has Nick brought to the table that you wouldn't have expected or figured out alone? And what have you
Yeah,
been able to offer Nick?
yeah. So Nick, he's younger, he's more tech savvy, he's more willing to try some of the new stuff. In fact, the last meeting that we had, we were talking about Claude, and he's implementing it. He's working it within his management software. And so it's been really just a breath of fresh air, because it encourages me and to jump into some of those things and try that, because obviously, that's something that we really need to consider right now moving forward as all that stuff is coming down the pike. What I brought him, and I think he'll agree to this too, is that I brought him 15 years of lessons, hard lessons learned that I can help him with, as he's facing those. I remember the early years, and it was really daunting to say no to an owner, or, to try to lay your policy out and say, no, I can't bend from that. And I think that's probably probably what I can bring him is just those experiences and some things that he can hopefully avoid, as he's still just building his.
That's awesome. So what I'm hearing you say is tech isn't as intimidating if you're not alone in testing out different processes and different AI. And for Nick, you know, growing from the ground up isn't as heavy or scary when you have a connection with somebody who's bringing experience to the table and able to say, well, when I was doing it, I did it this way, so definitely don't do that. And so it sounds like you guys are a great matchup, even though it was a little odd at first. For the owner watching right now, what, let them hear from you, like what's one concrete thing, a decision, a change, a result that you can directly trace back to that connection or that partnership with Nick or the WhoCrew or both?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I remember it vividly. It was like probably maybe the second time I jumped on the online with you guys, and I think it was Matthew, and he was talking about just the like 10 add-ons, revenue add-ons that you can bring into the business, and it was just so refreshing. So I immediately, after I got off that call, I started to look through my management agreement, and I wanted to see, obviously you don't want to overdo it, but at the same time, what are we missing here that we're letting go. And we implemented some changes with that, specifically with a percentage-based tenant renewal or lease renewal, and it's been actually working very well. very little pushback, and definitely added a lot of value. So yeah, I'll never forget that. And it was like right at the beginning. So I was hooked, let's say the least. I was like, all right, I got to get on the next week's call,
Awesome. And so for anyone watching who's thinking, well, I have NARPM, I have Facebook groups, I'm fine. What do you say to that person?
Yeah, I'm part of NARPM now as well, and they meet on a monthly basis, and I think it's definitely it brings value, and I'm on some Facebook groups, and there's value there. I just feel that when I'm on these calls with you guys with Bear Who, I feel that the people that are on here, especially the leadership, you know, we just want to win. We want to just move forward. We want to make the businesses better. It's a different kind of a networking that I've ever experienced before, and it's just so property management specific. And so that's probably the best thing that I can say about it.
Awesome. Well, thanks, John, so much. Stay with us because we're going to come back to you at the end. But appreciate what you shared, and congratulations on all your success, and your connection with Nick to me has been very inspiring to watch personally. So thanks for sharing about that.
Thanks, Jessica. Thank you, John. Man, it's just really inspiring to hear the stories of WhoCrew members. Big reason why we do it here. And what John was talking about, like, that's pure intelligence. It's not a Facebook group. It's not a conference hallway. It's a real sounding board of operators at your level, dealing with the same decisions, which is what you heard. You pressure testing the hard decisions before they actually become expensive mistakes, doing the right things at the right time. And because accountability, it's built in. And the insights that you receive actually turn into follow through. So with that, let me tell you a little bit about Scott Nacchitillo. Scott owns OKC Home Realty Services in Oklahoma City. He has a corporate background. I had mentioned this before briefly, but like other people, when you get into this business, it's not normally your first choice of careers. You were doing something before, whether it was a realtor, broker, or you had your own portfolio. So Scott, very process oriented, numbers driven. He built his own portfolio and then decided to do third party property management. And when Scott found us about a year ago, he had 400 doors. His growth had stalled, and competition was starting to flood the market. So out of all the right things that Scott was doing, he was still stuck. And this happens more times than you would think. So if you resonate with this, like, you're not alone. So Scott joined the WhoCrew. In the first BDM, the growth related mastermind session, he knew immediately he was in the right room. What happened? Well, Scott had a property manager in his company leaving. And so he asked his peer group, and also Jessica Foster, leader of the WhoCrew and that mastermind, what he should do. And they gave him ideas, and he came up with 100% commission-based comp model. So instead of replacing the team member in the same way, now he has 2 property managers incentivized to add doors, and they are adding doors. At what level? You can see it here. 2024 average, he was at 5 new doors a month. 2025, up to 10 new doors a month. February of this year, 19 doors in 1 month. And I think that I just heard that in March, he hit 23, which is friggin' amazing. 400 to 500 plus doors, 20% growth, profitability increased. And that's just in 1 year in a flooded market. And this is by giving Scott the ability to make the right decisions, to be the business owner instead of having to be in the weeds, signing all the new doors, right? Like, it's strategy, working on your business. These are things that we have to do. Scott had said, yes, I wouldn't have had that idea if Jessica hadn't brought that up. But what we know is, in that mastermind group, a lot of other business owners sharing their ideas, a place where you can feel safe to share and know that other people are looking to lift you up and help you move forward to hit your goals. And, that's the point, not the 19 doors, not that 500 door portfolio. It's that he didn't solve it alone. He had someone who saw what he couldn't see. Now, our next guest, they show you what it looks like when you build that through your whole leadership team, not just at the owner level. So now let me introduce Courtney Parks and Sal Burgos. Hey, come on in, guys. Turn on your cameras. Now, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Um, so Courtney, let me ask you a few questions that so you can share with the people that are watching. When you enrolled Sal in the Who crew with you, what were you hoping that it would do for him, but also for you?
Yeah, I when the Who crew became a thing, I was already well over a year, maybe 2 years into the Better Team consulting, our coaching journey. And I think what I was discovering is the trickle down effect wasn't always happening. Like all of the information I was absorbing through Better Who and through you and like Michelle and Alex, um, I couldn't always like get it to the rest of my team. And that's, becoming when you're the broker, you kind of can sometimes be that blocker of information. So as soon as the option came up for Sal to also join in on those masterminds and have the resources that I was privy to, it was just like saving time and doing something that I like. It wasn't one more thing on my list I had to do. He was able to just jump in and get that information. And he was almost better at then disseminating the information to the rest of the team that I didn't have the capacity to do.
Imagine that, right? It's
Yeah,
other people that are able to do something more effectively than us.
right. I was perfect at everything, but no, not
Yes,
really.
you still are. Okay. I remember you said it to us this way. The Who crew is helping me shape my number two without me having to do the shaping. Could you unpack that a little bit? What does that look like week to week?
Yeah, it's doing exactly that. It's giving Sal the benefit of the coaching and consulting, and it's not taking any more of my time. It's removing me from the process. It's making sure that I'm not preventing that growth. And it has transformed Sal and I's relationship even more. He's been with me over 2 years now, and it's great because we both try to go to similar masterminds sometimes. Like I want to be in the AI one, but I know that he's going to be in there and he will take that information and roll with it. So it's like less pressure on me so I can spend my time going to the BDM mastermind. Because of the structure of my company, I'm the BDM. So it was like, okay, I have to go to like the foundation or like the Freedom Mastermind and the AI and the BDM. And it's like, there's just not enough hours in the day to do all of it. So he's getting that information. And what it's done is I've seen a big change in him for having that confidence. He treats himself now more like a manager, like a team lead that I didn't see before. So there's a transformation in him. And it's almost like a role reversal. He'll kind of take stuff and come to me with it instead of the other way around, which is very refreshing for
Yeah,
me.
absolutely. Having other people drive the bus instead of us all the time.
Yeah.
Um, and what would you say has changed measurably for you in terms of, say, time or how you spend it or what you're not doing anymore?
A lot of it is it's a joint effort with the obviously the executive coaching, the Better Team consulting, and then the Who crew. But pre Better Who, I was like 75% working in the business, 20, and that was like a good week. I was very much in the weeds. I had very little time and mental capacity to focus on anything that would be big picture. Now it's almost the opposite. So it's, most of my time is spent high level And that 25% that I do work in the business, it's mostly on BDM, which is what I want to do. And I get to like Sal is like driving the bus, but I get to kind of decide where we're going and set the course. So it's less time, but I still have the ability to navigate. And it's really allowed us to fit into the visionary integrator roles. Whereas before I was kind of being both, and I'm not a great integrator. Like there's a lot of softwares out there that could tell you that when we tried to implement them. So having him be able to be that integrator and I'm like, I want to do this. And he's like, okay, this is how we're going to do it. And and that's the dream team. That's what you want, right?
Heck yeah. I mean, that's the goal. And let me point out something specific that you said so everybody can let this soak in. Um, you were working 75% of your time in the business opposed to on, and now you're working most of your time 75% on the business, doing that roadmap, saying, hey, this is where we want to go. You're driving the bus, Sal. So you have more time and freedom to spend it where you want. And whether that's BDM growing the business or, well, anything else that you want to use your time for.
Absolutely. It's like being able to travel more, create content, education. And there's ways that I feed my soul, that feed my business in ways. Sometimes it's profitability, but sometimes it's just like, are you happy? And we should all enjoy what we're doing if we're sitting in these roles. So that for me, it was twofold.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear that. So, and some people think that, I just don't need another thing to do. What would you tell a skeptical owner who thinks that their integrator, their number two, someone on their team might not be ready for something like this?
Yeah, and that's a fair question, and that a big shift in how we do things as a business. Like the more organized you get, it tends to be like more meetings and more documentation. And on the front side of that, it feels very overwhelming. And it's like, how am I going to have time? But instead of like one more meeting, it's like one more resource. And the way that I've laid it out to Sal, and the same thing with like signing up for NARPM, or I want to give my team as many tools in their tool belt that they can use. And then they figure out how they can use that to make their lives better, and it's something like we're not all great managers or coaches but we have to be in this leadership position. So I can't, I'm not going to be able to coach Sal the way that I want to, but I can provide him an outlet where he can get that coaching somewhere else. So that's what I would say. And for me, the Who Crew, I'm at the stage where I'm very grateful for all of the benefits that Better Who has given me. I'm not leaning on the Who Crew as much personally, but I'm using it for my team. And that's where the real benefit has come in.
Yeah, that's awesome. And thanks for sharing that, Courtney. Um, we don't have we're not an expert at everything, right? And like we don't all have the time to manage, lead, coach, develop, train, all of that. Even though we might have the right people, we have to give them the right environment, the right platform to shine. And that's exactly our goal. And it sounds like what you've experienced. Courtney, thank you so much. I'm going to bring on Sal now, our guy. We got some questions for you, my man. Can you
Do you want
take
me to
your,
stay on or do you want me to hide myself again?
well, I don't want you to hide yourself, but just for now, could you? And
Yeah.
I want to bring you back during the Q&A later.
I was gonna
But
say he's the real star, so yeah.
he is. We want him to shine. Where you at, Sal?
I'm here. I'm here. Can you see me?
Yay. There you are, my man. Um, Hey Sal, so a couple questions for you. When you first joined the Who Crew, you were new to the role, new to the industry, building things without documented processes. What was the hardest part before you had the structure and peer community that the program gave you?
Yeah, I remember that as it was yesterday. So the hardest part was lack of structure. I remember having one-on-ones with Courtney and messaging her like very often, but we didn't have documented processes, SOPs, and policies. So everything was spread in communications such as transcripts from meetings and chat messages. So we didn't have a system. So I started documenting those because it was reinforcing my learning. So when I get to join the Better Who crew, I realized it was not only me, because at first I thought, am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? But after hearing from other PM professionals or operators, I realized I was not alone. Somebody else having the same challenges. So that made me feel that I was going to the right direction, gave me more clarity and also more confidence to approach things as I was learning.
Yeah, confidence is so important, and so is clarity. And doesn't matter what seat we sit in on the bus, those are just things that continue to resonate over and over again. Now, you're in the AI mastermind as well, and the accountability program, and you built a real relationship with another ops manager. What does that peer relationship actually look like? What do you guys talk about? What has it given you that maybe you couldn't have gotten anywhere else?
Yeah, it's a very nice relationship, very insightful, I would say. We exchange a lot of frameworks. So, like, he's been in PM like 2 years more than me. So we exchange how they operate in a different state, what technology they use. So it's pretty, I would say, beneficial for me because that's the path that I'm actually pursuing, like the one that he already has. So the last information that he shared with me, I remember kind of came a little bit late, but it's gonna be helpful in the future, like a hiring framework, how to justify a hire within our company. So that was pretty awesome for me because I didn't actually give it so much thought before. And for him, I know it's also beneficial because he was asking me, like, hey, how do you handle leasing? How do you handle your marketing? And by making questions, you realize how differently we work and we actually are heading to the same goal. So that's pretty awesome, I'm gonna say. About the AM Mastermind, what I like the most is that I like technology, and you can tell that, Jay. I like to spend time with new stuff, but it's pretty awesome how you can see how other professionals are using AI like in property management. Because you can see AI doing a lot of stuff nowadays, but it's great to see it like centralized and focused to PM because it gives you more like I would say ideas how you can implement it in the day to day.
Yeah, I see you and so many others just lifting each other up, learning from each other, bouncing things off of each other, um, which is awesome. And, one of the things you had mentioned to us is that he helped you, your accountability partner helped you build an Eisenhower matrix for the team, um, which, well, actually, no, you built the Eisenhower matrix for the team, um, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It was I would say a little bit of everything. Like you get to pick from the A mastermind, from the accountability. And yes, I presented to Courtney a Eisenhower matrix. So because we already have structure, we now have an org chart, we have job description, but the job description it's just like a list of responsibilities, but it doesn't come with what priority level this responsibility has. So I came up with the idea so we can provide clarity because I remember as you asked me in the first question, like what was the like the struggle and was structure. So by having a Eisenhower matrix, so yeah, now you know this is the expectation. I need to complete this by this specific date, how successful looks like. So you give clarity to other team members as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then one last question for you, Sal. Where are you headed? What's your goal inside the program? And how is the Who Crew helping you get there?
My goal is to become true number two for Courtney. I always like to mention this, and I believe I mentioned this to Courtney a lot of times during our one-on-ones. My goal is to provide her business health at a glance. I like to compare like your car dashboard, like you see, hey, I'm running out of fuel. So Courtney can see at a quick snapshot, hey, we're doing right, we need to improve, and doesn't have to chase updates across departments. So that's how I see myself, like putting all the pieces, because we have a great team. We just need like to centralize everything so we can have everything at a glance for Courtney so she can just focus on higher stuff. So that's how I see myself becoming in the company.
Awesome. Hey, thanks, Sal. Really appreciate you being on. Stay on till the end, as I know people are going to have some questions. As you can see, none of this is theory, right? Like Courtney is a real owner, Sal is a real team member, and they're telling you exactly what changed. Sal started, yes, in leasing, a client and resident success manager. And today he basically runs the company. Courtney is not managing him. The program's doing that. So we're helping Sal level up and just fueling his fire, giving him the right path. And while at the same time, Courtney is the time in the business she has to spend is decrease, decrease, decrease. And when she's able to do that, she can focus on the things that matter, like building the business and bringing in new doors if that's what she chooses to do. And she's at that place now. Fewer decisions that have to climb to her, and having a true number two that she can trust. And so what happens when your team gets stronger? You get what we call decision leverage. Fewer decisions escalate to you. There's a lot of decisions that have to be made, right? It's like you have not just decisions that could stall the company, like for owners, tenants, right? Vendors, people coming to you asking you, hey, what do I do in this situation? What do I do in that? Right? Or waiting for an owner's decision or a tenant decision. So we want fewer of those decisions coming to you, and you stop being the person who rescues every situation. You want outcome owners, not task doers. You become the person who leads. Now, what does it cost when that doesn't happen? Well, we get into the stuck loop. This is what that looks like. Team hits a hard decision, things stop moving. Problems, they don't go away. They wait, they pile up, more pile up behind it until you step in, right? Like, and you probably felt this before. And why do you step in? Because, well, it's faster, right? Because you know how. You've done it for years. And if you're not the person people are coming to and they're coming to someone else on your team that's not really your true number two and they're tying them up, then that's what happens, right? It feels like the right call in the moment to jump in, but every time you step in, you confirm to your team that the decision wasn't yours to make in the first place. And then what happens? The cycle, it just resets. Most owners have been running this loop for years without realizing that it's actually a pretty vicious cycle. What happens if nothing changes? Well, you still have a pretty full calendar, all the disruptions during the course of the day, right? I mean, like, these things. You can't fully disconnect. You can't go on a vacation for 2 weeks without a laptop. Tell you what, Courtney can, Scott can, and you can too. You can't fully disconnect. Every growth adds more decisions, not more freedom, right? Every new door is just a bigger problem that now you have in the business. And that doesn't have to be the case. So, inside the business, you have leaders that plateau and they have no growth opportunity, no path. And people want a path, right? The people that are going to be in your company that want a path to grow in your company, That's what they're looking for. Those are the people that you want on your team and having a good culture. And when you don't have that, people stall or they just leave, right? And then everything that just still stays dependent on you. That's what staying still costs. Not nothing, but when you think about it, pretty much everything. So growing people, I get it. Like it's hard, right? It takes time that and skill sets that most people don't have. I mean, we know that you don't have the time. And even when you do have the time, you were never trained to do it. That's not a knock on you. It's just not what built the business. So then that gap stays open, the loop keeps running. And without a stronger team around you, without other leadership and outcome owners, the team keeps escalating. That gap doesn't close on its own. Hey, but guess what? There's good news. There's very good news. And that is a 3-step plan that we have for you to solve this problem. Okay. And first, step number 1, join the WhoCrew. Stop carrying all the weight alone. Stop carrying all the hard decisions. Step into a structured program with serious operators and key team members alongside you. Step 2, strengthen your team by role. Every person has their own track. Coaching, peer leadership, accountability, masterminds, all built around their own specific seat, helping you grow, helping your team grow. And be able to, step 3, lead with decision leverage. As your team gets stronger, fewer decisions end up climbing to you. Your team, they bring solutions, they're outcome owners. You shift from rescuing people to leading people, to helping them have the autonomy to make those decisions and the autonomy to, hey, guess what? Like, mess up. Not everything's going to be perfect, but that's how people grow, right? 3 steps. This is the entire plan. So let's see what a little bit more about what it looks like. Okay. Home base for the WhoCrew is Circle. Circle's an app. It's a community where we have all of the access to all of the resources. There's a conversation that you're able to have with your other business owners, your peers. Your team members are able to have the conversations with other people at their level as well. And you stay connected and you build the relationships with other operators. Everything's in one place. You don't have to hunt across platforms. You don't have to chase links. You just go to one place, nice and simple. Reduce logins. Your team member, they can be here. They can be independent of you. And that is the whole point. We help them grow. We help you grow. Okay. So let's look at a little bit of what the calendar looks like. So we have on Tuesdays and Thursdays, typically, the group coaching call or the mastermind. Now, you don't have to be at every session. I mean, that is not the way that it works. We do an onboarding call with you to help you identify where you need to be. So just because there's, different sessions, right? Integrator mastermind, BDM mastermind, live coaching, all of these things are meant to support you, not to add to your plate. But we know what to focus on, and we help you with certain things like you can see in the Integrator Mastermind, documenting policies and working through Notion. That's going to be the next Integrator Mastermind. Foundation Mastermind, removing the owner bottleneck, right? So getting you to stop being that decision maker all the time. And just a bunch of other topics that are relevant to today and what you are going through. Now, if you join the next cohort on April 15th is where the session kickoff starts. That's where it begins. And what you'll see there is that there's a 90-minute new member only, just the 15 companies that are getting into the program right now. And in those 90 minutes, that is not a dry onboarding or anything, but essentially we're going to go through, introduce everybody to each other, help you guys get connected with each other, meeting the other people that are in your group. That builds connection. And we're going to go over what to expect next, getting you into the right mastermind, getting you into circle. No guesswork. That's the challenge, right? So the whole point of this is to give you the right direction, right? To put you on the right path. Think about going on a road trip. If you're going to drive from California to Colorado, you want to have the right path. You don't want to guess, where do I stop next? What do I do along the way? And that's what this kickoff session is all about. We realized we need to give you the extra support when you first get started so you have complete clarity. Now, straight up, here's the investment. Monthly, $500 a month, right? Ridiculous value, right? Crazy value for only $500 a month with a 12-month commitment. Or you can pay annually upfront and you can pay $5,000. What that does is that saves you $1,000. This covers your owner seat. It covers 2 key team members. And some of you don't have team members right now, and that's okay. That covers you as the business owner, and we will help you identify when you need a new team member, right? We help you grow. You could be at 50 doors right now, and if you want to get to 150, 250, 350, we'll help you build that roadmap. We'll help support you and your team members along the way. The members that are accepted into this cohort, you will get into the April 15th kickoff date. So I just want to mention, though, just because we are opening the doors, we are only doing 15 new members right now. So, we want you to apply now. Scan the QR code here, or, grab the link in the chat, betterwho.com, WhoCrew-application. But, we have to make sure that it's the right type of connection. So we want to make sure you have the right fit. This cohort works. So we have an application. Go ahead and fill that out, and then we'll check and see if this next cohort makes sense for you. We'll have the applications open until April 7th. So just about 1 week. And, obviously we want to make sure that this program works for everyone involved. We want to help you put your best foot forward. So we're selective about the quality of people and companies that are inside, because that makes all the difference in the world when you have the right peer group. Okay. Again, we open doors once a quarter. So this is right now we're open, but once a quarter is when the doors open. So we won't have availability again until, what is it, May, June, July or August. I think the next session is going to open. So we want you there. Apply now. I'll go back to that QR code here in just a minute for you. But think about this, okay? Imagine your business in the next 90 days, right? And maybe it's Tuesday. You sit down, you got no fires jumping out at you. You actually have somebody on your team that's handling it. You have leaders, outcome owners. Your calendar, well, it's less full. You don't have a bunch of things that you have to do that are wasting your time. You're able to spend your time where it is highest and best use. And that time belongs to you. You're in a room with other operators, other people who actually understand what you're going through right now, and you're there to support each other. And then you're number 2. They're stepping up, not because you pushed them, because the structure is there pulling them forward. Fewer decisions climbing to you, a team getting sharper every month. And here's the deal: more profit. You will see tangible, more revenue, more profit, and time back. So imagine that. You can actually make more money while spending less time in the business. And this is actually what happens. So instead of carrying all of the hard decisions alone, right? Lead with a stronger bench, a stronger team, a trusted peer group. Apply now, guys. We have the link in the chat. And, I'm going to open it up to Q&A here. I know we had a lot of questions as we were going. So thank you for for doing that. If you have any other questions, anybody right now, go ahead and just and put those in the chat as well. Let me see here. Yes, so I see a question from earlier. I think it was it might have been before I mentioned this, but what happens if I don't have a team? Yes, still the right place for you with an investment of $500 a month or 5,000 upfront, saving $1,000. Like this is a significant value for you because we're going to help you build that team. We're going to help you go on the right path. I know if I had a program like this when I was in property management, uh, like it would have made all the difference. So I hope that answers your question. You should definitely join. Do not wait. There's no risk in filling out the application. Let's get you in the right room, having the right conversations with other people. Does that help? Okay, cool. Let's see other questions. I don't have a BDM right now, business development manager. So yeah, that's okay, right? I mean, but at the same time, you do, and that person might be you if you're the one who's responsible for bringing on the new doors. So if let's say you have 2 new doors that you're bringing on a month right now, and you want more, right? You want to set a goal for 5. Well, we help you get there. We put you in the right room. That would be you that would want to be in that mastermind. But we're all working on different things in our business at different times, right? Like sometimes we have to really focus on our team, our people, right? Sometimes it's like, yes, that, but then also we really need to dial in our processes. Well, when you have the right person, like Sal, for example, from earlier, and so many others, then you're able to weave that in and have them own that process improvement, right? With your help, with our guidance, our leadership, right? And having them in the right group, you're able to do those things. Sometimes you're focused on growth, sometimes profitability and revenue, adding additional fee structure, or taking a look at just your overall profitability and where your spend is. These things are, really important. Is there a commitment? Is there a time commitment? Yes. So 12-month commitment. And what we do also do is within the first 30 days, we want to make sure that it's a good fit for you. So in the first 30 days, if it's not a good fit, then that's it. You don't have to commit to the rest of the year. We want to make sure that we have a great fit within the first 30 days. And again, fill out the application. It's there's no risk there. It is simple to do. There it is. The deadline is April 7th for applications, and then we're kicking off that cohort on April 15th. So hope to see you guys there, and have a great day. See ya.